go to a place. I wanna go to a place. Do you want to go to a place? I wanna go to a place. I can take you there. I can take you there. Do you wanna go to a place? I can take you there. Say
search far and wide by your side, far and wide by your side, search far and wide.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning. Can you hear me? Am I coming in loud and clear? How do I sound? Can you hear me? Let me know something. Talk to me. Tell me something. One in the chat. Yay! Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Tea. We got some stuff to talk about, but I don't have my coffee ready, so this is what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to get my candle. Good morning, Nisi Pooh. Got to get my candle, light my candle, set the vibe, if you will. Move, Doogie. Uh-oh. What's going on? What the? I got to get another, what you call them? Hold on a minute. Can't find my lighter. Done messed up the mood. Dadgummit. But I gotta get my coffee ready. And my dog is just, oh, here we go. Got it. Getting it ready. There it goes. Come on now, get the candle going. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. This candle is key lime bergamot, and it has citrus basil. Okay, getting ready for the holiday season. Let me see, gotta say some hellos this morning. This morning. What the funk is in the house? Good morning. IXL is in the house. Good morning. M Mills is in the house. Good morning. My Nisi Poo is in the house. Good morning. Jovan's in the house. What up? You see the hair? Nisi Poo, you see the hair? Okay. Wait a minute. That is the worst when you, ain't it? The heck? Peace, love, good morning. Divine Nine in the house. I gotta get my coffee. So I'm gonna, I'm creating a vibe this morning. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm drinking a Midnight Blend, which is a dark roast. I'm putting in, Aldi is my favorite store. So this is the caramel macchiato creamer. I'm putting a little bit of that in here. I put that in first before I put the coffee in. Put it in the Keurig. Get your coffee and tea ready, y'all. Good morning, Dunbar. Good morning. So, and then get your coffee and tea. And then I'm put a dab of whipped cream on it. Why not? Because it's cold and rainy here in the DF Dub, okay? It's cold and rainy. Jedi Mike in the house. Thank you. Shout out to Sir Hell Speaks because he had a fire panel last night. Fire, I say. Fire. Now, I'm going to go ahead and apologize ahead of time because it is raining and it is cold. And my Duke, my dog, he's a rider. He's fearless. But one thing he don't like is rain and thunder. I'm just sorry. So, he going to be whining and under my feet and what have you. So I'm just go ahead and say, shout out to my sister in the house, OG Patrice in the house. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. I wanted to talk about an aspect, and I'm going to put the link to the full panel that Sir Hill had yesterday, which was amazing. But it prompted me to want to talk about some stuff from a perspective of this one clip. Got to get that whipped cream in there. Okay. So let me go ahead and pull up the clip. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Oh, uh-oh. That's good. Okay. So, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. All right. Hold one. Yeah, let's share my screen. So y'all see that all right, okay? Let's get into it. Now, I need to know from you guys if there's an echo, because I need to let me know if there's an echo so I can fix it.
Chicken salad is on. You want some bread or you just gonna get a spoon?
Now, let me ask the ladies.
Okay, wait a minute.
Does it look like it was staged, or does it look like she genuinely cares about her man?
She loves her husband.
I messed up. Hold on, y'all. I haven't had my coffee.
It's fake.
I haven't had my coffee. Work with me, not against me. Let me get it right. I haven't had my coffee. Okay, so let me set the stage for you. The stage is this. You have this wonderful couple, this senior couple, and she is serving her man. Let's go. Okay, I think I'm ready now.
So we saw a picture of what things should not be. I want to show a picture of how it should be. And so with this one, I want to start with the perspective of Mr. and Mrs. She Said. Y'all perspective on this. Let's take a look at this clip.
Come on, Pops. Chicken salad is on. You want some bread or you just gonna get a spoonful? Come this way, honey. Come this way. So you can do chicken salad on bread, croissants, put it on
The spinach wrap.
lettuce. My favorite way for him is on bread. So you want me to make you a sandwich?
Taste it first, then you give it a sandwich.
Yeah,
It's gonna be good. Come in the camera.
and say hi.
This is
Y'all watch the way she look at him. Just watch this.
Hear that crunch? That's from the peppers. What do you mean?
Need a little spice for all still.
Hey!
Oh yeah, it tastes right now.
Very cute.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's good?
Why you adding a little sandwich? And I'm gonna have some nice tea and chips to go with it.
You want me to make that for you? I promised God I was gonna see about you. So, here comes the sandwich.
Okay, I'll go just sit out there.
Y'all, that is how it's supposed to be. I want to give the married couple, that just warms my heart. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, I'm gonna go off camera because, listen, Mrs. C said,
Amen.
on that.
Yes, amen. That's me in about 30 years, if I live to be that long. It's going to continue to be that way. It's something I aspire to. And if food makes him happy, I'm gonna try my best. Like, it's important. There's certain things that I know he enjoys, some things that tickle the soul from, back home, that, I gotta put my foot in it. So yes, that pleasing you gentlemen is important. It's something I aspire to.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it for a minute right there. What did y'all think? Y'all know what I thought. Y'all know what I thought. I'm just, as a matter of fact, when I was watching this, I said that made me think Mr. Randolph. It made me think of Mr. Randolph. Looking in his eyes. That was a moment. That was a moment, okay? Uh-oh. Okay. It says I need to mute my mic. Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, sweetheart. That was a moment. Now, let me go. Okay, so let's play it a little bit more, and let me go ahead and do this here. Mute my mic.
And I would hope women get there. When you consider to marry someone, that is something that you have to keep up front, forever. And it's hard to do that. It is not something that's easy, but the goal is to consider each other.
Did y'all hear it? When I did y'all hear that moment just a little bit, because I had okay, so you did hear it. Okay, let me mute my mic. Let's continue.
And make each other happy, and it's not going to be all the time. It's not going to be a fantasy, but that was beautiful.
Now, let me ask you this. This for the trial for both of you as well. With that, Mr. Issa, I want you to answer. But you guys have been married for how many years?
17 years, going on 18 in January.
Excellent. And so after you answer the first part of this, they've been married for like 40, 50 years. How do you keep that level of, y'all saw the way she looked at him, the way y'all saw that? How do you keep whatever that is going for decades? What's your thought on that? And then we're going to get everybody else in here as well.
I mean, it's a absolute conscious decision. Like we all know, this is not, a sprint. It's a marathon. It's not going to be good all the time. There is up, there's downs with marriage. But the thing is that you have to understand and remember what you in it for. And again, after all of this time, just reminding each other every day, reminding with date nights, reminding with anniversaries, reminding with all of the things that we do is the reason why we gravitated to each other. But in regards to the clip, that woman was, curated from sugar, spice, and everything nice. And this is why, the women don't get that. This is why the men think it's so funny and comical to even try to have something like this. And for a person to articulate it is because they're not made from the things that the people from the older generations are made from. They have words for struggle, love. Like, it's a thing that they don't want.
I went on and dropped the link. Shout out to Sir Hell Speaks, who's in the house, because again, you had a fire panel last night, and I want to focus on this piece here with this couple. Now, shout out to the tribe, because they've been married. They've been together, I think she said 25 years, been married almost 18 years. So they definitely have been in the trenches, for a long time. But when I look at this couple, these grandparents, I had to be honest, it made me think of me and my husband. Not because we've been married that long, because essentially, for all intents and purposes, 4 years together is still newlywedish, if you will. But when I look at that couple with the gray hair and the smile, that's how I think of my husband. That's how, I want to get that a validation and approval from him. It means the world to me. And when I hear this young woman from the tribe talk about, what pleases her man, she wants to cultivate that. Absolutely the same thing here. And the reason why I'm in these spaces is because I wish I would have really, Well, I say I wish I would have known it earlier or appreciated it earlier. But things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. But even though it happened for me later, I'm here to support what this young woman is talking about so you ladies don't have to wait as long as me. But this is a beautiful thing. When I look into the eyes of this woman when she was serving her husband, it made me feel it. It made me. I had to send a text to my baby. I had to send a text to him because again, that. But let me before we get into the video, I'll just say this. I shared with you all that this past Thursday, he and I went to Houston because his sister was being honored in with an award. Okay, up and coming entrepreneur in the Houston area. So his sister and brother live in Houston. His father lives in New Orleans. And even though his father and I had interactions, FaceTime and stuff like that, I had never met him in person until then. We, talked on the phone, FaceTime, but actually because, COVID hit and all that kind of stuff. So really didn't have a chance to meet him in person. And also another family member that we've communicated via, Facebook and calls, but we had never met in person. So when we're at the banquet, and I'm sitting next to the cousin, and I just looked over, I said, well, you've had a chance to observe me from afar. Have I passed the test? And she says, and I think she was kind of surprised that I asked her that. She said, yes. I haven't seen my cousin this happy in a long time. I see it on his face, he done picked up a little weight. I said, that's my joy. That's my joy. And so when I was talking to her and then I went and looked to Mr. Randolph, that's the look that this woman gave her husband is the look that I give Mr. Randolph. And even with the look, it doesn't mean everything is peaches and cream all the time, but my joy is to put that smile on his face. And when he said add a little spice, that was cute. We said add a little spice and put that kiss on it. Hey, for real though. Okay, and then, I think Lucky's going to talk about in a minute about the validation, because as a validation, I was just doing what I wanted to do or needed to do to represent my husband, at this event. But then he calls me the next morning. I was still asleep. Says, and just gives me these words. He said, I just want to thank you. I said, for what? He says, for just being the way that you are. You take care of me. You inspire me. You motivate me to go out and get it. Basically, go out and work. He said, and I'm getting emotional. I'm not doing it. I'm not crying today. But that's what we should aspire to. And when we do that, ladies, it inspires them to want to go get it. Let's get back to the video, shall we? Oh, hold on. Let me mute my mic.
Want to see someone in the down part of the relationship. They want everything to be good. We both should be at our 100. When you're both at 100, there's no room for improvement. So just the ideal that they have, the way they articulate it, the way they react to it, it just all shows. So for me, again, that woman was made from sugar, spice, and everything nice. She know what marriage is about: honor, duty, and responsibility. And he chose his wife based on the way she makes him happy. His sandwich with potato salad and a chip and a pickle. Again, most men just get a sandwich with bread and cheese and then another bread. They don't understand that that's not the wife to pick. Pick the wife that brings the pickle and the chips and the salad and curates your home, not just you know, exist there. So I'm gonna stop right there. Thank you for that clip, and thank you for letting me share on it.
So let me address this. Let me address this. Is a very serious point, guys. To any man out there who's suffering from a wife just giving you bread and cheese and a piece of meat, there's help for you. I want you guys to call our hotline. We want to help you. Does anybody else want to respond to what Mr.
Everybody said the oppression.
Want to respond?
Yeah, that first of all, we have to correct the brother. Mr. He said he know I rock with him, but that's not why we was laughing. We was laughing because somebody put it in the chat, said, "Did y'all see that oppression?" Right? Basically trying to say that the lady was being oppressed. You know what I'm saying? Because she was asking the man what he wanted on his plate, and she was willing to make it for him, bro. And that is literally the word that a lot of women on the videos and panels of so-called manosphere channels have expressed that they view this sort of behavior as, you know, things like, why can't a man make his own plate and all this other type of stuff.
Terrible.
To be honest with you, I know this is gonna make me sound some type of way on keto. I agree. Like if I ask my woman to make me something to eat or make me a plate, she will.
Where you
It is
from,
what it is.
Michael?
But I can make my own plate. Like it. I don't think that the and I'm not trying to take away from what was going on in the video. It's hard for me to be serious about this crap because most of the time they be acting. And I don't be caring about these people acting, bro. Like, turn the camera on something real that's happening, bro, and let me see that.
Like
But
what?
Podcast.
I don't know, man. Just something real though. Not
Something
that.
toxic?
A fist
Something
fight.
toxic?
Not toxic, but
Hold on,
just
hold on. I
not
want to make sure I
acting,
understand,
bro.
podcast.
Okay, here we go. I put the link in there if somebody wants to join me. Let me play a little bit more before I respond to this. Let me play a little bit more.
Are you saying that what you saw wasn't real?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying
Podcast contributed very well tonight, and we're very glad for what is contributing to the conversation.
Where's podcast from? Where is he from? Does
she
anybody know?
literally asked the man to come into the camera.
Podcast.
Like it was all for the camera. So I mean, go ahead.
Can't appreciate
Where are
nothing.
you from, podcast? What region of the world are you originally from? Somewhere up north, right?
I'm from the Midwest.
Okay. If you grew up in the old Southern, my grandparents had a love like that.
It's
If
not
you
like
grew
I've
up in
never
the-
seen it. That ain't the point. That's
So
not
it's
the
not
point.
acting. Now everything is just her granddaughter did that. She didn't
Okay,
even
let
do
me
that.
ask
She
you this
come-
question. Why did she ask him to come into the camera?
Because she wanted his review. Her granddaughter started a TikTok for her to show her cooking and stuff like that. And she wanted her husband to taste the first bite of her food and tell her what it was missing. That's not acting. She's
Ma'am,
getting off
I'm gonna
of
try
her.
one more time and then I'm gonna get away from it. Why did the woman ask him to come into the camera?
Because she asked her husband, podcast, to come
That
take
wasn't the husband that asked her to come into the camera. It was the other girl.
her granddaughter.
Why is
That's
that
not the
an issue,
point.
though?
Why did she ask him to come into front of the camera?
Podcast,
You trying to
why is that
butter
an
it up
issue?
instead of just being honest
Okay.
about what it was.
Hold on,
She was
hold
just
on,
trying to
guys.
get it on camera.
Podcast, you know I care about
We
you.
see so much negative shit on the internet every single day. The shade room, people dying, people getting shot. Why can't we see stuff like that?
I didn't say
Why
we
can't-
can't. I didn't say
But
we
you're
can't.
just
I'm just
making
saying, like
fun-
when it come to the whole, you know, trying to do this type of stuff. Like I like to see genuine stuff. It's just the same thing when people put the camera up and they show themselves going to the homeless and giving them a couple of Popeyes biscuits, and we supposed to, oh yeah, like button. What's your cash up? Like I just don't feel
Podcast.
that
I'm
way
gonna play
about
this
it, man.
again
I
for you,
don't.
man. I want the seeds of this goodness to get into your heart. I'm gonna play this
Listen,
again.
Sir Harold, you sold it so strong.
Come on, Pops.
She starts off with "Come on, Pops." Good grief.
Come on, Pops. Chicken salad is on. You want some bread or you just gonna get a spoon?
Now let me ask the ladies. Does that look like it was staged, or does it look like she?
Okay. So shout out to podcast. Bless his heart. You know, I got nothing for love for podcast, but I have to say he was on one last night. He was on one last night. So when he said that, I said, so anytime I ask Mr. Randolph to come on the camera, does that mean that we're acting? Let me see here. Okay, I'll have to see that. So I said, does that mean that we're acting? And I understand. I understand in part what he's talking about, because when we think about social media, we think about people are only showing you the best parts or the highlights of their life. I get that. That is true. But some of the highlights are real. That interaction may have been a highlight, but if the interaction is a depiction of their real life interaction that was captured by the granddaughter. Yeah, it was front of the camera, but I will tell you, I'm going to submit, I'm going to go out on a limb here. The reason why the granddaughter wanted to capture that, because this granddaughter knows that that's not what we see on a daily basis. And the granddaughter wanted to show people that it does exist. I'm gonna go out on a limb, because as a granddaughter, in today's time, I'm just go ahead and tell you, me and Mr. Randolph, I'm 55, he's 57. We haven't been married that long, but we got some age. And the beautiful thing about it, because this is my second marriage, this is his third marriage, I say I'm 2.5, 2.5. That we learned some things, so we both appreciate what we have so much more. We learn from the things that we did wrong in our previous marriages. So we don't miss a beat with trying to give the other what the other needs. So it's so funny, because there are times my daughter, before they'll come over here, they'll call and say, y'all decent, right? Or they'll be over here and we'll be kissing and playing with each other. And they say, oh, you act like teenagers. And that's a good thing, because young people don't see that with their parents anymore. There have been friends and family members who've been married for years, and their children have never seen them embrace. Those children had never seen their parents kiss or hug. So is it any wonder when we have this cynicism out in the world? Because they've never seen it. And if they've never seen it, they don't believe that it could be. So when you have a granddaughter who wants to capture that, because she knows full well that's not what we see on a daily basis. And it gives it, even though that these are the values of old, these grandparents have an opportunity to put an imprint on their generation of young people. I have an opportunity to put an impact on the people in my family who see me. And again, I have my daughter, my bonus children with him. They see us interact. Our grandchildren see us interact with each other. They see us joke. They see us they see me giggle. They see me blush. That is what is important. So yeah, it may have been a highlight that was captured for the camera, but I will submit that was real. And we need to see more of that to give people, young people specifically, some hope that, okay, it's not completely gone. Yeah, it's dying, but it does exist. It's not a fairy tale. And the love that you see in that vignette does not mean that love did not come with some heartaches, didn't be some health issues, some, maybe some infidelity. I don't know. But they're still there, and they still not only love each other, they still like each other. Because in these spaces, these people talk about getting together. Okay, but then what? You talk about the attraction where you need to be fit, feminine, this, that, and the other, and the male need to be okay, so you get together. Now what? Life happens. Are you going to still love and like each other when life happens? Are you still going to want to feed your man when life happens? Are you still want to kiss your wife when life happens? When I saw a podcast response and I put in, I said the cynicism is real. The cynicism is real. And I'm gonna tell you something. I get it. Why do I get it? I was almost there. I was on my way. I love the women in my family, but some of the women in my family kind of bitter. I was on my way. And I said, I don't want that. I don't want that. My daughter used to say when she was little, toddler, said, I can't like that. I can't like that. So I didn't want that. I can't like that. I couldn't like that. I wanted to be joyous. I wanted to be, light. I wanted to serve and see. And it's so funny. My daughter said, because I cook a lot more than I did when I was raising her, I'm sorry to say. Because when she called me, I said, well, I'm cooking for Mr. Randolph because I got to make some meals. She said, who are you? But I'm cooking because I want, and I'll, when I serve him dinner or whatever, lunch or whatever, and I'll just be looking at him and see like, does he like it? I'll be like this. Do you like it? And I never thought it would be me like this. I'm like, so what did you think? Or when I tried a new meal, did you like it? It's real. And see, those things are not captured. But when we do come before you and I'm looking at them like I look at them, it's because of the other moments that are real. It emanates through the camera. Let's continue. Am I tracking? Are y'all getting what I'm saying? It is about the spirit. Am I making sense? Wait a minute, hold up. I got to see that again. You said the highlights don't even get as many clicks and views as the stage. Ooh, you better speak a word. You better speak a word. As a pick me, the cynicism. Yeah. Thank you, darling. Let's continue. Let's continue because again, oh, let me turn my. Gotta remember to turn my.
Genuinely cares about her man.
She loves her husband. She loves him.
It's a camera literally placed in front of the food.
So let me say this. Right? Podcast.
Years.
Let me say this podcast, right?
If you don't know to differentiate when something is set, like to be recorded, and something that is pre-recorded and kind of rehearsed to be recorded. That's different. Like I can put the phone somewhere and be like, hey, surprise, hey dad, I'm doing this. Can you come here this way? And I can even tell him I'm recording, just in case. But I'm is not acting. He's actually, saying what he's saying is he's meaning. What he's saying.
So the devil winning.
Let me say this.
I guess Mr. She said something. I want to hear what she said.
The devil winning.
Mr. He said.
I mean, I think that's what it is. It's this new generation. Even while I was growing up, nobody ever talked positivity. No one saw the positive side of marriage and success and love and nurture. If we put cameras through this house, this is how you would see me speak to Mr. He said. You would see this type of love all the time, even when I don't want to, because he deserves that level of respect and honor. And that's all that is. So if I put up a camera, the things that we post, you think it's just like for y'all. I can care less if y'all are watching or not. You understand? I do it because I want people to see that it exists. This is 25 years, almost 18 years of marriage, and it took a lot of work to get here. So my kindness is absolutely genuine, and it causes me to go out into the world and be this kind to strangers.
All right. So
You
I
just
have
contradict
a
yourself,
It's
but
real.
okay.
I have a question for.
Okay, I gotta speak a word on that. Miss She said a word. That joy causes her to go out and be nice to strangers. When she said that last night, I'm like, oh, it's so true. When I go out and out, the other day I was out and about, I was, hey, what you doing? And they look like me. I'm like, yeah, I know them. Just talking, how you doing today? Good morning, good afternoon. Just talking. And it's funny because people are so not used to that. In the grocery store, I had to say it, it was one of us. She was checking stuff out. She was a cashier. Just as rude as she wanted to be to people that's coming for, just moving them along. Just as curt. But when it got to me, I'm gonna make you say something to me. How you doing today? What could she do? Oh, I'm good. Girl, I love that haircut. Because I have the joy when I'm at home with my man. And even when he's not here, he's with me. As a matter of fact, he's calling. One moment. Hey, babe. Yeah, I'm actually doing a show and I'm talking about you right now. I do. Bye-bye. So, he said, okay, well, let me let you go. So it makes me, it makes me, like she says, be kind to others. It does not make me cynical of others. And let's be clear, we know there's some fools out there. Just like, but again, what does it say about the young lady if I would have been speaking to her and being kind and she's still funky? If nothing else, it makes people think, well, why am I so nasty? That's what she was talking about here. Yeah, he does it for her. He does. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's continue. Let's continue.
Realness in a lot of people. So, sadly, a lot of people are not finding that. So this is why we are here, because people are not moving in genuine kindness and consideration for the other person.
I have a question for podcast, right? You're not necessarily wrong. It could have been staged. It could have been purely acting. They rehearsed like 20,000 times, right? But do you think we need to show more of that to this, to whatever you want to call what's going on right now? Do you think we should show?
So this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you exactly how I want people to respond to my questions. You just asked me a question. Do I think we should see more of that?
Yeah.
Or do I think it's okay? Do I think it's okay if we see more of that? Yes. And I also think it's okay to call that out if it's staged.
Okay.
So you see how I answered your question directly and not with another question? I would like that from everybody else when I ask questions. Thank you.
Yeah, podcast, but you cannot let people know how you want it. It's our opinion. It should be respected just as much as we respect.
I'm not telling anybody not to give their opinion.
Okay, this is where it went off a bit. Yeah, that it kind of derailed the conversation because in my opinion, they were having a really good conversation about the love, and because we'd already seen what it shouldn't look like at the previous clip, and we're seeing what it should look like. And I think the salient point that was being made. Child. Stop it. The salient point was, listen, y'all said, y'all, okay. The salient point was the love. How do we get there? And the reason why I put in the thumbnail is the thrill. The thrill is gone for modern women. Well, if we don't make some adjustments, I get the answer could be yes. But I will submit, one of the things that made me open to really welcome Mr. Randolph into my life is the fact that I had begun the journey before I met him. Even though I had a very bad situation that I've shared with you that ended violently, and I was scared, I didn't trust myself, but I knew that I had to do something different. I knew that I needed to do some deep work because I did not want to be bitter and alone. But I did not want to keep attracting the same type of man. And then I figured out it was me. So I had begun the journey of the self-work with my therapist, deep work. And here's the thing, it's funny because God will tap you on the shoulder and hope that he gets your attention. But if he keeps tapping you on the shoulder and you're not listening, he'll push you down. Whereas you're going to have to listen. And that's what happened to me. Over the course of my life in relationships, God had been tapping me on the shoulder saying, TJ, it's not so much about them, it's about you. But I wasn't quite getting that. So instead of me taking time to deal with myself and to deal with whatever issues that created this person that I was, who exuded confidence and self-assuredness out to the world, but inside was very insecure and broken. I was two people. And it enabled me to focus on that more confident person when I was out doing my job, and when I was a leader, when I was a soldier, and I was a officer, and a senior person in federal service, because I could justify to myself that I'm good. But in relationships, I wasn't. So God had been trying to tap me on the shoulder for years, but I wasn't listening. So he finally pushed me down with that situation that ended violently. That I was required at that point to do some self-work or run the risk of not being, because again, the thing about it is, had I not done the self-work, I might have gone into another relationship that may have been more violent than the last. Because I hadn't really figured out that it was me. So I needed to become the person that was as self-assured on the inside as I projected on the outside. But one of the things I found out when I began to do the work process, it wasn't important for me to prove anything to anybody anymore. And so because it wasn't important to prove how smart I was, how strong I was anymore, it enabled me to welcome a man such as my husband. I didn't need to prove that I'm smart. I could just be. But I started the process first. And I'm not saying it was complete, because it wasn't. But I started the process to truly reconnect with who I was, inwardly, not just outwardly. And so when I say it, I ask the question, is the thrill gone for modern women? It is, if we don't really do a self-examination as to what our motives are. Who are we and what are we about? It's funny because when I think of the course of my career, even before I got into the military, my life has always been about helping and serving others. Always, especially the underdog. because I was the underdog. So I've always been about helping and serving others, always. And it made perfect sense why I would go into the military, because the military is about selfless service. Why wouldn't I think about being a selfless servant to my husband or my man? I never even connected the dots before. Never even connected the dots before. Well, why wouldn't it make sense? Why wouldn't it make sense that I had, in school, in college, and, before I went to, that I was always, I was a big sister. I was, helping, going to the shelters, all these things, giving to all these things. But in relationships, it was not like that. I was giving, but I was giving with wrong motives. I was giving because I was still trying to prove myself, if that makes any sense. I was giving to try to prove myself worthy. Worthy. It's crazy. Didn't make any sense. I know it doesn't. But so now I give. The joy of my life is giving to my family. And my family primarily consists of my husband first. And everybody else, is later. Let's look at some comments. Good morning, Mr. Bennett. Yes. Yes, please hit the like button. I'm getting hot. It takes a level of vulnerability to be a selfless servant. Many people are not ready to be vulnerable if they have been through a lot in the past. Absolutely. And it's absolutely right. But see, and another thing, in addition to that, in going to the therapy, worthy of love. Because I said I wanted it, but I really wasn't sure if I was worthy of it. Because if I really believed that I was worthy of it, there were certain things that I wouldn't have done or have allowed. And that's the fact. Yeah. I've shared with you guys, again, part of it goes back to my childhood. My mom, being, my mom raising us as a single mother, feeling, at times that my father wasn't there for me, and feeling that if I'm not good enough for my father to love me, what makes me think that another man would love me? So even though I acted as if it didn't bother me, but my choices reflected otherwise. Clearly. And we, modest means. So again, being a teenager is a very impressionable time. And, I think somebody talked about in the show last night that, you have social media where everybody's comparing everybody to everything. Well, that's not different. That's because, again, I compared myself to the people around me because I thought that their lives were so much better than mine. Because, they had all this stuff. The only thing that's different now, you can see people from around the world and compare yourself to them. Whereas before you compare yourself to and people used to tell me, don't quit trying to compare yourself to others. And I knew that, but you want what you want. So the only difference now is that everybody's comparing themselves to the world as opposed to just the people in your surroundings, your immediate surroundings, or your community, your friends. Because my friends most had 2-parent households. So again, that's one reason that I thought that I wasn't good enough, because my mom was a single mom. Okay. Most have had a happy relationship. Okay, most have had that happy relationship feeling, but can we discuss what it's like to date in your 40s? please help older men. You know what? That's a good idea. That's a good point. And, maybe me and Mr. Randolph can do a question and answer session specifically about that, because I can talk about what it is from a woman's perspective. But, it would take him to talk about it from a man's perspective, because he shared some of the things that he went through before he met me. And it's interesting because it's contrary in many instances to what men in the manosphere are saying that women should be doing, because according to the manosphere, and I don't want to get too far off, but according to the manosphere and the red pillars, they say, well, you should be able, a couple of dates, she should be giving up the draws. Well, that was clearly would have been a turnoff for Mr. Randolph. And he said it. He said it on one of my shows, that when he had a couple of conversations with me, and he FaceTimed me, and he had his sheet up here. I said, "Are you decent?" Because I wasn't going for it. And he said that made him realize, now he was decent because he showed me he had his t-shirt on. He just had his thing pulled up because he was cold. But he said that he was like, yes, because the other women he had been dating, they want to. But in many instances, we're told that's what we should be doing in our 40s and 50s. So I think it begs the question, because our 40s and 50s, we're in a different generation to a certain degree, in a different mindset. So I think that would definitely be something me and Mr. Randolph should do when, maybe we'll do that when he's home this weekend. Because when he's home during the week, he, tired. I don't even mess with him. Let's continue. I want to continue this more here. Let me turn Michael.
What you're
is the one
saying.
being challenged.
That's what you're saying. You want us to answer. You want
No, it's not. I
answer
said,
the way.
no, it's not. I'm saying when
just
he
said-
asked me a question and I answered the
He
question.
need a hug. He needs
Wait.
a hug.
Oh my God! Wow!
Not letting that bullshit happen. What I said was this. He asked me a question and I answered the question, not with a question. That's what I'm saying. I did not answer his question with a question. I answered the question.
Okay, guys.
That's what I'm saying.
Understandable. And
So
then what
listen,
I'm saying is that we all have
got it.
different
You got it.
ways of
You got it.
answering.
Hey, guys.
We all have different ways of different opinions, different thoughts, and it should be respecting someone. And he said, "I cook. All right, I love cooking."
And then to see a marriage survive for that many,
The duty and understand.
get 5K subscribers, we're trying to keep this show up tonight.
Quickly, Sahil, right?
Can I go?
Is there a difference? Wait a minute. Hold on. Is there a difference between a question and an opinion? Yes or no, sir?
Podcast.
Please,
we
sir.
Oh my God, he's
Please,
always
sir.
doing this thing, man. It's annoying.
Okay. Don't worry about it. You got it.
Look, just so everyone know, right? Nigerians, we answer questions with questions, just so you know. Okay, go ahead.
Well, good to know.
All right,
Good to know.
thank you.
Anybody else want to give a perspective about this? I think this is very simple. Old black men don't care if there's no camera. They not putting on for nobody. So that's
Absolutely not.
You see how he
Yeah.
was eating that?
I wanted
he
to
was
know.
eating that?
Mr. Randolph, Sir Hill was right about that. Mr. Randolph is not putting on no airs for nobody. If he don't feel like talking, he ain't talking. If he don't feel like he ain't. He ain't. That's one of the reasons I think I fell in love with Mr. Randolph, because you talk about your pawpaw always said that. My grandfather, that's why my husband reminds me so much of my grandfather. And I think that's why I get so emotional, because I waited all my life, because my grandfather is what epitomized manhood for me. When they talk about what a man should be, my grandfather was that. So I get emotional because I waited my whole life to find someone like my grandfather. And I don't want to get too far off the rails, but I remember, when I was going through therapy, I would tell my therapist that I would cry. I used to cry. My grandfather passed away in 2002, and I used to cry every year around the time of his death or his birthday. And my therapist asked me, well, why do you cry? Because I mean, it went on for years and years and years, way after his passing, because my grandfather and I were close. And I said that I always felt safe with my grandfather, always felt safe. And I said, even when my grandfather got in his 70s and 80s, even into his 90s, I felt like if I could just be in his presence, I was going to be okay. If I could just be in his presence, even though there's no way he could do the things he did when his youth, but because that was the standard of protection, provision, leadership, I felt like if I could just be in his presence, I was going to be all right. If I could just get to him, I'd be okay. And then I told my therapist, when me and Mr. Randolph met and we got to know each other, when that time came around of my grandfather's death and his birthday, that was the first year I hadn't cried. That was the first year since my grandfather's passing when those times, and actually it just kind of hit me, it struck me. Like, wow. And it dawned on me because I felt that same safety and security and love that I had with my grandfather. That was huge for me. Because my grandfather died in 2002. Me and Mr. Randolph met in 2018. I want you to let that sink in for a minute. So when I look at Mr. Randolph with the childlike wonder sometimes, it's because I feel like the little girl who's wrapped in her grandfather's arms, but now he's my husband. It sounds crazy, I know. It sounds crazy. So my husband ain't gonna fake it. If he don't feel like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. Okay. And it's so funny because during the banquet, I was telling my brother-in-law and my father-in-law, I said, yeah, he does some shows with me. He? I said, yeah. Oh, wow. I said, yeah, he does some shows with me. He said, Mr. Quiet? I said, yep. Wow. I said, he's Mr. Quiet, but when he has something to say, he says it. Facts. Let me see what we got here. You get to ask a question with two questions. Answer a question with a question. It is. But one thing I will say, in my opinion, and I'm not saying that podcast was wrong with answering a question with a question, but one thing is for sure, when we go to somebody else's house or somebody else's show, we can't direct or direct how they handle their show. We can't. We shouldn't. No. They're not. My mom said, when you answer a question with a question, the person is coming up. Possibly. Or they could be asking clarifying questions to make sure that they understood the question that was asked. Okay? It's because your spiritual covering was gone when your Yes, honey. Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's a balance that makes, okay, this is a balance that makes most sense. Can you please play the part when Lucky was speaking fact? Yes, I'm about to do that right now. Yes, ma'am. Especially men, black men need to realize that our fathers and grandfathers are the first. Yes. So we look, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let's get into what Lucky, because Lucky was about to grow us real. Let's go.
Can y'all hear
hear me?
And the kids too, right?
Yes, Lucky. Go ahead, Lucky. Lucky, go ahead.
I was gonna say that that relationship, if you wanted to comment on the way she looked, I agree she looked like she was in love. I understand the whole everything is staged, but I don't really care about that because I think they just captured a moment personally. But looking at it, it just reminds me of, it's a little bit sad because when that generation is gone, we will not see that. That is from a generation that understood duty and understood what it is to keep the other person happy. And even in the video, it just showed that she was still trying to look for his validation in what was going on. So I think that it's important, just looking at the video, to always look for that validation that kind of gives you that atta girl or atta boy, that you are still doing the right things, that you can still get your partner happy, even if it's something as simple as making him a sandwich. So I think that in the video, those little details are just always never praised because we always look for the major thing. And can I just say, how come we always got to be distracted with people from Kevin Samuels when we having a conversation?
Podcast, that's a direct question for you. Here's my thing for everybody. I think that if this is unnormal or not normal, I think we should make it normal. Make it normal, people seeing you love the person you're with. And I'm of the same mindset. I don't like stuff to be done for the camera, but in 2022, this is the way people communicate now.
We need this right now.
Yeah, and I'm learning to be okay with it, right? So if we want to show some love, I want to see that. When I saw it, I played about 12 times because it's rare you see that kind of love and that affection, and then to see a marriage survive for that many years. So I think it was a good thing. Even if it was quote unquote staged, a 40-year, 50-year marriage, that can't be staged. So I think it says something.
I want to just say I was joking, with a little podcast, but I think this is what I think, right? When you see that video, you know what I think about? I think about videos where, what if he didn't like it, right? The mentality would have been, you gonna like whatever the fuck I give you. Not with this situation, but I'm saying that's where the podcast is coming from. It's that we can't even be happy about this stuff for real. Because let's say we get in the comment section and be like, that's what I want my woman to do. Well, you gotta stop cheating. Well, you ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? We really can't even enjoy them type of moments. So I'm glad you played it, Sir Hill. But that's where I believe podcasts are coming from. That's why
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why you can't enjoy those kinds of moments, because you don't want to. Listen, I'm just gonna keep it. I'm a female is tired. You can't enjoy it because you don't want to. Yes, I swear to you all, the men today are just as bitter, cynical, and whiny as the women were in the 80s and 90s. It's just reversed. It's just reversed. And okay, you have a reason to be. You do. But you're going to stay there? Because I will submit to you, if you just like the women of the 80s and 90s complaining, they took that cynicism into every relationship and then wondered why it didn't work. Because it was doomed before it even started. It was doomed before it even started. We've all been through some crap. I am so grateful. Again, so you men got to do the work too. Get on somebody's damn couch. You don't even have to get on the couch. You can do it virtually. But the problem is with you men, you think you can fix it yourself. You can't. You don't have the tools to do it, but you'll get on these platforms and talk about how jacked up you are, but you don't have the tools to fix it. If you had a heart condition, if you had diabetes, you would go to a doctor for that, or run the risk of dying. Your heart is dying. Your mental health is dying. You don't have what it takes to fix it. I didn't have what it took to fix it. I had been trying, and apparently it wasn't working because I kept finding myself in the same place. But guess what? Like I said, I wasn't already there. But had I not at least started the process, I would have took the same cynicism, controlling, bitter when I met Mr. Randolph and ran him off. Because he's a man, he wasn't going to take none of that. None of it. None. And check it out. Because I knew I wasn't all the way there, I told him, this is what I'm dealing with. Because you think I trusted myself after being in a relationship at 50 years old, having somebody put his hands on me? Do you think I trusted myself? Do you think I trusted my own judgment? Do you think I was willing to easily trust? No, I didn't even trust myself. And so part of that, you too, men, because in these situations, these women showed you some shit that you ignored. Just like the man showed me some stuff the men showed me some things I ignored. And I ignored it because as much as I postured that I was worth this and I deserved that, apparently I didn't believe it because I would have conducted myself differently or I would have chosen differently. But guess what? It all led me to here. Mr. Randolph said to me, we said to each other when my father was here, everything we went through brought us to each other. And because of that, it was worth it. It was worth it. So to sit here and say, we can't even enjoy this because you don't want to enjoy it. When I see stuff like that, it lets me know what is possible. And that's what it should have been saying to these people on the panel, what is possible, as opposed to what it is right now. Let me read some comments. Yeah, Lucky nailed it. She grew us real. I'm proud of her. Hey, let me tell you something, the old school love. I remember, and that's, y'all need to get a hold of it. And that's why on my other channel, I play old school music because me and Mr. Randolph, for no reason, I'll be dancing with him. See, y'all don't know nothing about that. Cause y'all just bump and grind. Y'all wouldn't know romance if it bit you in the ass. See, that generation, they dance with each other together. Looking in each other's eyes together. Y'all don't know nothing about that. That's why you can't appreciate because you ain't never seen it. But then again, instead of saying see what could be. In that relationship, I'm sure it wasn't perfect. It got me messed up this morning. You know. Yeah. And you're bitter, jaded, exactly the same way we were. And look what that has gotten us. So when is it ever going to be right? Because now we're, all we hear, we got 40 plus years of beating down black men. Okay, that's true. So do we go another 40 years of beating down black women to call it even? Or does the process start over? If that's the case, we ain't gonna never get together. Never. Lucky said it's gonna be over with after the, and I believe that's what CJ was speaking to. And I don't disagree with that. But Lucky is making a point. Yeah, it will be over with the generation, but they're still here. So what can you learn from them? See, the problem is so many of y'all care about what others think because some of y'all would not even venture to show that kind of love because the man would be caught up as a simp And the woman would be saying, oh, you allow him to oppress you. So y'all would be so caught up in it, you wouldn't even cast it like out of your mind. Do you think apparently the couples of old didn't care about what people thought, because in their time, even with infidelity, they stayed. I'm not advocating for infidelity. They stayed and said it's worth fighting for. But we're in a generation now, we won't fight for nothing. We won't fight for nothing. And I understand what CJ is saying, and I don't necessarily disagree, but my point is, Lucky said it'll die out. And because it'll die out, what are we going to do to keep it? What are we going to do to keep it? I'm doing my part. This couple is doing this part. The granddaughter is doing her part to show what it's like, what it is. If nothing else, it should make you curious. I'm gonna tell you something. See, this is another thing. I'm gonna go ahead and grow y'all right. See, y'all don't even know how to talk to people in real life. Let me tell you what I mean by that. It should make you curious. Because how many of y'all on just a daily basis may interact, whether it be at the grocery store or whatever, and you see a senior couple or a middle-aged couple that look like they've been married for a long time? Have you ever asked them, what did it take to last that long? Because I did. When I was on the flight on the way home from seeing my mother in September, there was a couple in front of me and a couple to the side of me. And I'm listening to them talk. And I could tell that they had been married for many, many years. I just asked them. I bet y'all don't even do that. Now, granted, they ain't going to give you the life story, but I bet you they'll give you some nuggets. I'll let you sit there. I'm going to let that marinate for a minute while I look through these comments. Yes. 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 I mean, hey, straight up, there's some more stuff here because, you know, Mr. and Mrs. He said they were Mr. He said, Mrs. She said they were growing us, and there was something that Mr. He said, I'm getting tongue tied, that really got me. And it reminded me of a conversation that me and Mr. Randolph have had. Let me see if I can find that.
Understand it. It's like, even seeing this is great to see, but I mean, my Papa Joe and my grandmama had it was just like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was like that when she gave me her sweet potato pie. You feel me? Like that shit was busted. You feel me? So I understand it, but like it's almost like that shit over with for most of us, bro, because that ain't happening no more.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when you have it, and I'm not saying you, but it happened to me, and I'm going to be general, anything to him. You don't even have to say, I told you so.
Like, you know, hey, I can do what you do. And you know, my mother used to say, anything with two heads is a monster.
It's not. And
you can have a different life, or what.
Constant battle between women and what they're being told and what they're feeling. That's just my personal opinion. So I think that translates to fear.
Okay, Trap, what's your perspective on this? Are modern women operating from a place of fear?
Oh man, amongst other things, but yes, I agree with that sentiment. regardless if it's stories. Like I said, it's not being promoted. Even women, they are around in marriages. They've had grandparents married. Nobody told them the good of it, and we kind of promoted, to our young women throughout generations, independent, strong, get your own so you don't have to depend on a man, when they had to depend on their man the whole time. You know what I mean? And I think they was looking to say, maybe you can have a different life, or was that different life better
Right.
than what you had? They weren't saying, this was something that I had to do. And, the good in it, it seems like the negative was always promoted, And like you said, we didn't have those images. I've never had a grandfather, a great grandfather, damn near a father. So in my life, it is a conscious choice, a reflection of not having that to say, I'm going to do my best and work my hardest to make sure that we do it. There's no way I'm going to stay in an abusive relationship or a dirty, cheating ass man relationship. So us women staying in those things, you're making a conscious choice. So for us to turn around after 10 years and not requiring marriage and then be mad because he jumped into another relationship after a year, that woman required it. That's why it probably happened. I don't think it has anything to do with you. We've heard the saying, you don't need to go buy milk if you got a cow at home. You know what I'm saying? However that goes, but y'all know what I mean. So yeah, I definitely think we are moving on fear. We had Mr. from The Color Purple, and now we have the new Fences with Denzel. I put in all this time and all this effort, and you wind up having a child after 18 years with somebody else stepping out on me and me. Like, I was here with you. Like, that was a whole big thing, and it's real. But at some point, y'all lost each other, and you have to take ownership for that. And I don't think us women want to do that. You stop giving in to something that's quite important for gentlemen, which is sex. A lot of you gentlemen, it's important. It's kind of not at the top of the list, and it's like main priority, but it's important. And when a woman takes that away from the relationship, I think it takes away from the full amount of intimacy. So it's something that needs to be communicated.
Okay, check this out. One of the things when we were in Houston, before we came back home, we met with he's kind of a uncle by marriage, but he is the one who administered who officiated our wedding, but also we did the premarital counseling with him. And we met with him before we came back, and he said how proud of us he is. And I told him, I said, I remember what you told me. And I lit, because again, I told Mr. Randolph, I will never deny you. Never. And I say that because during our premarital counseling, pastor said, and he's not our pastor, but he is a pastor. He said what a man needs: loyalty, respect, and intimacy. You heard Mr. Randolph say what was top priority for him is loyalty, but that intimacy is in there. I remember that. That's part of ensuring that all his needs and wants are met right here at home. I have said it once, I'll say it again. My goal, and that's the difference in maturity in me. I understand how important that is now. I didn't understand how important it was before. My goal when he leaves the house to go to work, all he can think about is getting back home to me. That's my goal. And not just for my box, but that's part of it. But that's just not it. He can't wait to get back home to a house that I've prepared for him, to meals that I've prepared for him, to clean laundry that I've done for him, to a house that's smelling good and a wife looking good. So he can give me that yummy look. I'm just trying to grow y'all today. I'm trying to grow you. And by his words, it makes him want to go get it. Tote that ass in that big ass semi. Yeah, that's what that does. Let's go.
communicated often and revisited often, because it's a major part in a relationship with a man, in my opinion.
Shout out
Can
to
I
the
ask a
family.
personal question?
Hold on. Before we get to questions, I want to get everybody's response first. Mr. He said, did you want to add to this?
Yeah, I'm a little bit different, and I'll be real quick. I don't think it's fear. I think it's opportunity. I think they're very opportunistic, and it's like having 5 Ferraris. If you wreck one, you don't care. You got 4 more. And Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of this attention is just Ferraris. And I say it's not fear, because if it was fear, it would be fear from all standpoints. It would be fear. It's only fear from one standpoint: the fear of bad men, the fear of Mr., the fear of Denzel from Fences. It's not fear when they say, like, ladies, don't do what we did. You should have a fear of being alone. You should have a fear of not being covered out here. But they don't do that. They don't say, go back, you're going to fall off the cliff. They say, no, come on, girl, go off the cliff and you're going to be fine. Don't worry about that. There's nothing down there. I did it. She did it. Come on, do it with us. So it's not fear, because they would have a fear from all aspects, and they ignore the fear of telling a younger woman not to make the mistakes that they did. So the fear only coming from one standpoint only makes me think that it's opportunity.
That was excellent. That was excellent. Lucky, what's your perspective on this?
Are modern women acting out of fear? I'm gonna say yes, because most of the things that keep them hesitant are things that they haven't even experienced. I myself would say, me acting out of fear is that that fight of releasing control, because you don't know. And I think the fear is of the unknown. Like, oh, what if these bad things happen? And then you try to make sure that you get all your ducks in a row to prepare you for what could happen, instead of thinking in the aspect of, what if none of that happens? And because I am releasing control, that's why none of these fears would happen. Maybe those things happen to those women because they couldn't, for some reason, release control. So I think the fear comes in, it's like that traumatic experience. A lot of us like to seek partners from trauma. We seek partners from a sense of validation. And I think that most modern women, if they can't find a man to validate all the things that they want them to validate, then it becomes hesitant, because I'm not validating in all areas yet. And until you do these things, then I can feel like it's okay to start slowly releasing things. This is why a lot of men feel like, I'm doing all these things, but I have to wait to buy the cow, kind of like what she's saying, to get something that other women just willfully given to me. So I think a lot of the times women are operating in fear, but they're also operating not in fear that's of their own. It's of things that they hear, horror stories, things that they see. Like you have, was it this Sunday show where we were listening to you play a video with the girl with the fly, and she was talking about, oh, they did this back in the day, and it was a time she wasn't even living in. So who told her that? You know what I'm saying? And then we sharing those things. You have a lot of girls sharing those, like, yep, right, girl, without even verifying it, because it's something we've heard over and over and over again. So it must be true. And then when you listen to men who kind of talk from the way that they talk, you start thinking like, you know what? I would be fearful too with the options you have out here of men who think certain behaviors are okay. So I think both sides could pretty much be operating in fear, but I don't think it's fear from neither sides have actually experienced. I think it's fear from our mothers who have taught us to be fearful of these things because she didn't make certain choices. So it's basically like, be fearful of the choices that I made, or be fearful of things that I did wrong. And then if you try to make your own decisions, be fearful of the fact that you can't trust yourself to make your own decisions. So I think that's what it is.
Y'all going deep.
Lucky grew us real. She was growing us real. She was growing us real. She was just growing us straight real. Okay? I'm proud. I'll take a sip on that. It's both. I like what Mr. He said. He's absolutely right. It's opportunity. And it's fear on one hand, but not fear in all areas. That's why your aunties here. Y'all don't want this. I'm gonna tell you something. When my daughter got engaged to my son-in-law, you know what her concern was? Somebody put in the chat what you think what my daughter's concern was. Somebody put in the chat what you think my daughter's concerns were. No, when my daughter got engaged, what were her concerns? That I would run him away? When my daughter got engaged, what did you think her concerns were? Yeah, hashtag don't F it up. That's right. Hashtag don't fuck it up. That right there. That's what she was concerned about. She was concerned, gosh, dog, I said I wasn't gonna cry today, that I would be alone. And she said she wanted me to find somebody that I could be happy, because she wanted me to be happy. That is, Kevin talked about that. I don't agree with I didn't agree with everything that Kevin said, but when he was right, he was right. A lot of times we put that responsibility on our children, our sons or our daughters, without even realizing we're doing it. Because they think it's their responsibility to keep us together, to support us. And it's not their job. Our job is to prepare them for the world. And so when I met Mr. Randolph, she did, and oh wow, let me back it up. Y'all have heard me talk about when I met my son-in-law when they were dating. My thing was, I hope, hold on a minute. My thing was, I was saying that I hope she didn't mess it up. I was hoping that she didn't F it up because, again, I know my daughter. And a lot of things she learned from me. And when she met Mr. Randolph and found out what kind of a great guy he was, she was saying to herself, I hope my mom don't F it up. So we were saying that about each other. But because I had taught her things. Whether I did it, by my words or by my actions, I taught her nonetheless. So I was operating in fear, and I put my fear on her. But because in some areas I was imposing my will and my fears upon her, my daughter separated herself from me for a time. Yeah. She separated herself from me for a time. And that was hurtful because she's my only child. But she needed to do that. Was I hurt by it? Absolutely. But do I think that was probably the best thing that could have happened for us at that time? Probably so. So it is fear. We are operating out of fear. We're operating out of fear of the unknown. We're operating out of fear of not being in control, even though sometimes being in control is the exact problem. And a lot of us operate out of fear because we don't want to lose control, because we don't want to let go of control, because in so doing in the past, we've been disappointed. And we say, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. But not realizing that we're sabotaging our own destiny, if you will. But yeah, a time that she should have been focusing and being happy about this burgeoning relationship that she had with my son-in-law, she was concerned about me being alone and unhappy. And I didn't even know that, that is a burden that I had put on her. But we're doing that to our children. We're doing it, and I say children because we're doing it to our sons and daughters, operating out of fear. And like Lucky said, we're operating out of fear, but never considering the fact, well, what if the worst case scenario doesn't happen? What about that? You said, I'm a whole, be a whole, shut up, boy. Well, let me tell you something. They'll take care of you, but how they take care of you depends on how you take care of them or allow them to be. Listen, parents, don't piss your kids off because they will be making a decision for you straight up. Okay? That's facts. That's facts. But it's, but again, the fear is, like what Mr. He said, that is absolutely right. I think we don't think about that. And that's why I'm sharing these things with you because, yeah, for those young women, you fine and you tight and right. But guess what? It ain't always going to be so. And even if it is so, there's going to be a younger version of you coming up the line. So am I saying you need to sell yourself short? No, I'm not. But I am saying don't mark up your price. Don't put the unrealistic markup. Straight up. Don't put an unrealistic markup on your value. Yes, you are valuable, but let's not be unrealistic with our, with a markup, okay? For all my merchandisers and out there, my retail merchandisers. Because I'm telling you, because again, I knew I was going to be fine all my life. Outwardly. Even though I was messed up on the inside, but I knew I looked good. Once I came into the realization I looked good, it took me a minute. I was an ugly duckling. But once I, came in, see the exterior, if it looks good, it can mask the brokenness on the inside. That was me. But what happens is, if you're not as self-actualized on the inside as your exterior shows, something's going to fall through. That's when you're going to start doing stupid stuff. Because you realize that your beauty is only skin deep. What else you got? What else you got? I'm trying to tell you. And check this out. Listen, I just thought about this. And Red Lipstick Vibes is in here. Her parents were married for many years until her mother passed away. The way that woman was looking at him and the way he was looking at her, they see themselves through the eyes of when they first fell in love. Before the gray, before the sagging. That's how they see themselves, through those eyes. So they always, in their mind's eye, that's how they see themselves, even though they grow old together. But they're seeing themselves through the mind's eye, through the lens of when they first fell in love. That's important. That's important. And see, we don't think about it as important when we're younger because we think we're always going to be tight and right. Men, you think you're going to have a six-pack when you might have a beer belly. Women, you think you're going to have a fat ass. It'll be fat, but, not in the right way. Okay? Let's keep it 100, all right? But what else you got? Where's the substance? What else? What else do you have? Let's go. I'm talking today.
Tonight, Man of Prestige. We're gonna circle back to a couple of these things. I am the single one. Shout out to your questions. Good to see Family Values of the announcement.
So if we're just gonna act and say, hey, I'm fearful, I'm all over the place, but you're still gonna connect.
Much. I was more stable and I started.
And mental security.
Leadership qualities, integrity, confidence, or if this isn't this, not just
To answer your question, yes. In fact, the only thing we should focus on is influence and not trying to control people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with the ladies. Yeah, you go ahead, Sir Charles. No, you go ahead, sir.
Oh, really quickly. Thank you, brother. I think that you can influence women just like you would influence anyone else that you're supposed to be over, whether you're managing a company or you're a coach of a team or what have you. And that's by exhibiting leadership qualities, integrity, confidence, humility, accountability, emotionally intelligent, courage, these things. And when that woman buys into you and what you're doing, certainly she would follow your program, which means that she trusts you. And so, we can definitely influence it. And that's why I always say it is incumbent upon men to work on themselves first and foremost to try to get the result that they want from women, as opposed to looking at all the women and everyone, all the women are wrong. No, you can definitely influence a woman by essentially exhibiting leadership quality.
Absolutely, I agree with the panel and Sir Charles animately. I think it's absolutely an individual skill set to be able to show, not just say words. I think that's the most important thing, is that you have to show actions and solidify that you are going to be there for this young lady. I'm just going to share a little bit. My wife lost her dad, and to be able to sit there with him, to let him know that I got your daughter, I got her. You can absolutely rest easy in regards to her, and turning to her and giving her that same promise and commitment. And throughout the years, it wasn't always easy. It wasn't, we were extremely poor at a time, and it was like, if you want to go, or if this isn't the situation that you see yourself in, it's always like, nah, like, we're here no matter where we are. As long as we're together, we're going to be able to conquer the world. And I think it's that mindset, and again, that struggle love that people don't want to attach themselves to, that sometimes it's not only necessary, it's a requirement to show what character a person possess when things aren't going their way. And again, I just think that it's really heavily lied in actions, and you definitely have to show a person that your influence is going to be a positive one versus something different.
Anybody else on this one? Because I got one.
That was a word. Let me tell you why. Ooh, Lord. That was a word. That was a word. When Mr. He said, listen, I said I can learn from anybody. You understand me? I can learn from anybody. And wisdom is not necessarily indicative of age. It helps, but it's not indicative of age. Mr. He said was on fire, and Miss She said as well. When he said that, I was reminded of a relative who had a battle with cancer, and the mom had a battle with cancer, and my cousin, it was her mom. And as they went through that time, because they've been married for over like 28 years, my daughter's 28, as they went through that battle to support her mother, the strength that she needed from her husband, And as they shared certain things with me, I looked, it's something to know that when you have, or when you're going through something like that, that somebody has your back. I cried, and it wasn't even my situation. And I talked to Mr. Randolph. I said, listen, I'm not, predicting anything. I said, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna be no good. He said, don't worry about it, I got you. There is something when a parent can rest, knowing that when the time for them to go, that their child is in good hands. Going back to my daughter, I bless God, I plan to be here for a minute if God says the same. But before I met Mr. Randolph, I said, if God took me, I'd be okay knowing that my daughter is in good hands with my son-in-law. Do you know how powerful that is? Do you know how powerful that is? Do you know how I said, if God were to take, I'm okay because I know my daughter's in good hands. That's powerful. You need to understand that. It's not, another thing, I want to go ahead and shout this out. Another friend of mine, God rest her soul. She was one of my closest friends. As a matter of fact, and she was the first friend I introduced Mr. Randolph to. Okay, so she was the first person she met him before anybody in my family other than my daughter had. So they developed, and first she was kind of skeptical, truck drivers got their reputation or whatever. But she got to know him, and when she came to spend some time with us, and she said to me, well, actually she said to me, but she later said to him, I like the way you handle her. I like the way you handle my sister, because we ain't easy. She's a sister Gemini, so yeah. But anyway, but as she got sick, and she had cancer, and we knew she was going. She said to me, because she's the only one that calls him Junior other than his immediate family. She said, tell Junior that I know my sister's in good hands. I told Mr. Randolph that. He teared up. He teared up. And my father has had some health issues of late. He's fine, but he's had some health issues of late. And when he came to visit, he said that to my husband. He said, I've seen my baby go through so much. He said, but I know my daughter's in good hands with you. Do you know how powerful that is? Do you know how powerful that is? And see, for a man to say that to another man about their child, they see something in that man. That's influence. My husband lets me be me. I'm under his leadership. But he knows I'm all over the place. He knows I'm emotional. But he's my stabilizing force. Do you know how powerful that is? So when I'm talking to women, you want that. You want that. You can play like you don't, but you want it. I know I did. I did. Even if I didn't know what it looked like, I wanted it. But there were some things I needed to do to have it. And that's what we need to get to. Shout out to Purple Pill Podcast. I'm going on to their show this evening, and I hope to have an opportunity to grow some young women real if the opportunity presents themselves. Because we get in our own way. I'm just gonna say it. Well, he said you do it by not what you say, by what you do. Show and prove. Mr. Randolph didn't come into the one thing and every man is different, for sure. It's at 7:00 Central Time. Mr. Randolph, wow. Do any of y'all remember Yosemite Sam? The cartoon Yosemite Sam? He talks softly but carries a big stick. Because when he says something, it's like, I stand at attention. But he came in with such a presence, such an influence, and it wasn't barking. It was like, well, this is what we're going to do. I need you to do this. In order for us to get to this place, this is what we need to do. You do this part here, and I'm going to do this part. And because I was so used to being in control, I veered off sometime. And so finally he said, okay, listen, are we gonna do it my way? We're gonna do it your way. Because again, I was 50. I was used to doing things my way. But he told me what he wanted to see, how he wanted it to be. And I fell off a couple of times, but I got back on track because he laid it out. And I trusted him. I trusted him by watching how he moved in his professional life, how he moved concerning his family, how he moved when he interacted with me. He corrected me sometimes, but he corrected me lovingly, because getting to know me was to know I am sensitive. My husband has never he's elevated his voice. He's never yelled at me. He's elevated his voice just like my papa used to do. He never yelled, but when he elevated his voice, you need to stop talking. But he's never cursed at me. But he listens to me also. He values my input. And he makes the final decision, as in any leader. But he influences me by the way he moves on a daily basis. When he is wrong, he says, you know what, I was wrong about that. I longed for the day, and I think I've shared with you all in my my profile for when I was on the dating site. I said that there are many facets of me. I said I realize that I am a strong personality, largely because I was forced to be. Single mom, the oldest in the military. I said, but there's another side of me. There's a softer side that I long to show my best friend. The little girl, the insecure, all of that. And little did I know I would have the opportunity to do just that. Mr. Randolph is, he's tickled sometimes, because sometimes I'll be acting like a little girl, just be giggling or being shy. But then he sees me when I need to get into character and deal with some business. But he leads by example. He's kind of like my grandfather, a gentle giant. But he got to know me. I got to know him. I know how to operate with him. He knows how to operate with me. I'm gonna just give you an example, because man, you guys are great, but y'all got your issues too. I'm just going ahead and grow y'all while I'm at it. My husband is a creature of habit. He will say, I don't like a lot of change. And it's evident by some of the clothes I've had to get rid of. So the time came, we had been saving to move to a house. We didn't know which one. But I'm thinking we moving ahead, because we had this plan that we were going to get a house next year, which is this year. But little did I know that he was struggling with the idea of doing it. So when the house came available and it was a deal we couldn't pass up on, I said, babe, this is it. And he was kind of hesitant, I could tell. But he ultimately, instead of vetoing it, which he could have, he ultimately came and said, I got to be honest. I've been kind of dragging my feet because I'm not good with change. He said, but I'm a trust, I trust that this is the right house for us, and I'm gonna let you take the lead on it. Had he been prideful, he just said, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But that's a leader too. Admitting that you may not have it all, or you might not be comfortable in certain areas. That's a leader too. And he shared that with my dad. He said, I got to be honest. He said, he told my dad, he said, I'm glad I relinquished it and let her take the lead on it, because we probably would have still been in that other house. And he's still a leader, because he set the plan of what we were going to do. And I'm moving in that plan, but he hadn't quite come to grips that he was, in as much as we had a plan, he was a little bit nervous about, executing. But he has a woman that he trusts her, and he knows that he has a smart woman, because I am. I don't know a lot of things, but what I know. And he trusted me that I also have our family's best interests at heart. When he needs to rein me in, because he know I can go, I trust him that when he reins me in, he's doing it for the right reasons. But that comes with getting to know each other and respecting each other, trusting each other, not bringing our previous relationship issues into it. We're trusting each other. I got him, and he knows that. He got me. I know that. I trust him with everything. Everything. That's what we want. So I say the thrill is gone, modern women, if we do not embrace some of the things of old. Fixing that sandwich with the pickle and the chips and iced tea. Gingerly rubbing the back of his head. I do that when we're driving. But also men. A safe place for us to fall. And I'm not going to say it's easy. Listen, one more story. I got stories. You don't get to be 55 and not have stories. Yes, women can trust the average man. And that's it. If I get the opportunity, I'm going to grow them tonight. Yes, the average man, because my husband's a hardworking average man. But like I said earlier, the way I treat him, he's out of his own mouth, it makes him want to go get it. And when he comes home, he going to get it. Yes. And here's the thing. Going back to that video, I'm willing to bet that grandpa was an average man. Worked hard. Like I told you, I grew up in a time where people had good jobs. You worked for the post office. You worked for GM. You worked for the Air Force Base. You worked for the city, the state. Those are average jobs, and people made good money to raise families. To raise families. My husband's dad, he average guy working in the construction industry. Yeah, they about to get it today. If I get the opportunity, I'm going to give it to them. In love. And everybody can't go. Everybody can't go. My daughter's married to an average man, but guess what? They got a beautiful family, and I'm proud. And they build in together. The expectations are going to be different depending on where you are in your life. By the time me and Mr. Randolph got together, we're not looking to build it. We're pretty much who we are, but we combined it to continue to grow together. It's about growth. When you get together in your 20s and 30s, yeah, you're probably looking to build because you're establishing yourselves. But whatever you bring to the table, you still are building it together. In this point in my life, we already had our respective careers. I was on the latter part of my career, but we still brought it together to continue to build and to cultivate a family. But everybody can't go because everybody don't have the right mindset. And that mean it ain't for you, but that don't mean that she ain't out there. It don't mean that he's not out there. It doesn't mean that. It means it's harder to find. I'm not going to deny that. It means it's harder to recognize. I'm not going to deny that. But some of these women haven't been taught, I'm here to help. And for those who want to get it, you're going to get it. And if you don't, I ain't talking to you. Absolutely. Real life people, not TV and social media folks. It's weddings going on listen, it is. You know, that's what I'm saying. Y'all got to get away from it. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you, doggone it. I want you, men and women. If you see somebody, even if you're not interested, and no matter what color they are, I want you to practice speaking to somebody in real life with a smile on your face. See what response you get. If you happen to be in the grocery store in your line and you see somebody got something in their basket, you say, is that good? I was thinking about getting that. Have you had that before? You know what? That may be true, but guess what? I'm married. So I'm going to focus on what I got and what I want to see. Where's my mug? I'm going to be the change I want to see. Because there are more divorces than marriages, I'm not just going to dwell on that. I know that to be true. But I'm going to be the success story. I was a statistic before, but I'm going to be another part of the statistic. Same thing when I had my daughter. When I had my daughter, I had walked across the stage of the University of Oklahoma, but I did not have that degree because I was having fun. But when I got pregnant and I said, gosh, I'm a statistic now. I'm a single mother, uneducated single mother. So I said, what I'm doing, I'm going back to school. At least this part of the statistic, I'm going to change. Yeah. So I said, yeah, I'm a single mother, but at least this part of the statistic, I'm going to change. Yes, there are more divorces than marriage, but this part of the statistic, I'm going to change for me. So I'm not going to be a part of that number. What are y'all prepared to do? What are y'all prepared to do? Men need to get under some mentorship of a man who has a successful marriage. Not a marriage that they're just in because they don't want the finances to get out, but a successful marriage like that couple that they like, that not only they love each other, but they like each other. Women, you need to get under the leadership or the mentorship of a woman who is where you want to be. Listen, when I was in the military, not even when I was in the military, my boss said, don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you want. With each promotion when I was in the military, when I got promoted to captain, I was operating like I was a major. That's how you don't operate in the job you have. You operate like the job you want. Ooh, that was a word. That's a word. Don't dress for the job you have. You dress for the job you want. You dress for the position you want. You act for the position you want. That means you're going to be kind. Women, you're going to be gentle. You're going to be sweet. You're going to be demure. You're going to be smart. You're going to be sophisticated. You're going to be classy. You're going to be graceful. Men, that means you act for the job you want. You want to be the husband, provider, protector. That means you're about your business. Your mental business, your financial business, your physical business. You tap into those things that you're lacking because we all lacking some. Me and Mr. Randolph's relationship is not perfect, but it is wonderful. And even after 4 years, we're still learning things about each other. We're still figuring things out. How do we continue to connect? And it's a wonderful journey. There's still times that when I see him, there's something bothering him. I let him know I'm here for him. I don't push it, but I let him know you can tell me anything. I won't throw it up in your face. He makes me feel the same way. Y'all got me fired up. Y'all got me fired up. Yes. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I do that because again, and I do that with senior people. Oh, girl, I love Aldi. Did you say Aldi? Yes. Here's my Aldi's creamer. My Aldi's whipped cream. Okay, I'm trying to grow y'all today. I'm trying to grow you. So I'm going to challenge y'all. I want y'all to, when we finish this live, which is going to be soon because I've been talking a minute, for the next couple of days, I want you all to interact with someone in real life and put in the comment how that went. How'd you feel? What you learned? If you see a couple, no matter what color they are, go up and say, do you mind me asking? You all look so happy. How long have you all been together? I really want to be married someday. What would be the secret to a long-lasting relationship? They might look surprised, but a lot of people don't talk to people anymore. They gonna answer. Because they're gonna be surprised you're talking to them. Shoot, y'all better quit playing with me. Yeah. All right, you know what? This has been great. I've been going for 2 hours. I am so grateful for the participation, for the engagement. I hope that you all have gleaned something here. I'm going to do my part to help with women because, again, I'm going to do another show. I was going to do it today, but I decided to do this one instead about, I said, they have the hat, let's make America great again. Let's make being a lady great again. Let's make that great again. Let's make being a classy, elegant, poised, confident, articulate woman great again. Hello. Can we make that great again? Can we make sensuality versus sexuality great again? Can we do that? Can we do it? That's what my charge is. Oh, Lord. Let me go ahead and get my day started. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Shout out to each and every one of you. I appreciate it. But again, I mean what I say. I'm challenging you all. The next couple of days, get out. If you're at the grocery store, and just, see what you learn and share it with us. Because that's the only way we can get to have those couples. Because I got to be honest, I'm very proud that I have 2 sets of married folk in my family. My children. My biological daughter is married with a family, and my bonus daughter is married with a family. It brings me great joy to see that. And they're young. My daughter and son-in-law have been together for 6 years. And my bonus daughter and husband, I think they've been together for 7. So it does happen. All right. I appreciate you. So in the meantime, have a great day and ciao for now.
Said I got a story to tell. You don't hear me. Said I got a story about a girl. Yeah. Check. See, I've been up all night typing this love letter. Hoping you open the message saying I love you better. You've been keeping me on red. I know I'm out the picture. Ain't nothing worse than the wave, just a request. I sliding on a nigga wave like a drop by. Saw you out, so I figured out I'd say hi. Ain't no pressure, just want a good time. Something we get to share up on a timeline. She's my type of girl. Magic carpet around the world. She'll show you things that you can't imagine. Straight hair or fancy curl, bright as diamonds, clutch as pearls. She's my one and only digital girl. My sunshine in the rain. Sunshine in the rain. My sunshine in the rain. Oh, my. My sunshine in the rain. My sunshine in the rain.
First we outside, you beaming your light, giving me shades of dope. Now I'm walking in pools of water, my Yeezy. So you had a faith that get Jesus hope, but the devil is pleased. I'm on my knees, I intercede for our peace. Girl, your love is the antidote. Body like a goddess, your beauty on displays in the finest museums. You shining like discos, but who knew that through the fire all the grow this froze? Don't wrap your envelope, baby, let's disclose. I don't beat around bushes, no babe, I don't tiptoes. Not a ballerina, but I see balances drop jaws from your spoken words that rain dancing in tip jars. I applaud you, but these problems we face feeling so colossal. You push shovels with dirt, digging in my fossils. Every hurt I try and fix, you say I scarred you. I've dropped dimes before, don't tell me that I lost you. It's 2 sides to every coin, and every road's gonna have its thorns. I'm clenching these stems, my palms bleed. Maybe your rain can rinse these stains from these leaves, cause I still need my sunshine in the rain. My sunshine in the rain. Sunshine, my sunshine in the rain. Yeah. My sunshine in the rain. Sunshine.